I'd like to invite my cousin John to come forward at this time to share some remarks.
I'm honored that Uncle Bill wanted me to speak at his funeral. This remembrance is a collective effort of many cousins, and I might say augmented by a wonderful interview with Uncle Bill that was published in the winter 1999 edition of the Bell Tower Times, written by Mary Kay Williams. Father Bill Flaherty was a remarkable man. He was called Flash by his friends in the seminary, Papa to our Philadelphia cousins, and to us he was Uncle Bill. So I hope you won't mind if I refer to him through most of this as Uncle Bill. He described himself as, quote, a descendant of Irish peat farmers, policemen, rebels, lawyers, and strong, fierce women. From the Bell Tower Times article, he grew up in South Shore and attended St. Philip Neri School. When he was in the 8th grade, he decided he wanted to be a priest and enrolled in Quigley Preparatory Seminary. In his 3rd year at Quigley, though, he began to be having doubts about the priesthood. Monsignor Moran, the spiritual director, said, "Don't leave until I talk to you. I'll call you." Uncle Bill said, "He never called me." So I never left. He was ordained in 1952 and served the Archdiocese of Chicago for 72 years as a priest, pastor, spiritual advisor, and teacher. He was a wonderful priest. Our family witnessed this firsthand. He celebrated weddings, baptisms, funerals, even home masses in the living room and the backyard. He was generous, wise, and deeply spiritual. His homilies were engaging, enlightening, often gently humorous, and never too long. He was an intellectual, but when not in the company of his brother Paul, he was always humble. Again, from the Bell Tower Times article. Back in the early 1980s, he wrote an essay about being a priest that appeared in U.S. Catholic magazine. In the essay, Uncle Bill described himself as a second-rate priest and detailed his shortcomings. "Roman collars make my neck break out. I still never know what to say at wakes. I have often felt at odds with church authority figures. Good people dote on me and ask me questions about which I do not have a clue. But when things get rough, I may wish I were pumping gas, but deep down I will always be happy the Lord somehow fit me into his church, where I was second best. But there were some Catholics around to say that the arrangement was fine with them." Early in his priesthood, he was assigned to teach at Quigley, where he taught English, religion, and swimming for 7 years. He earned his master's degree in English from the University of Notre Dame, of which he was very proud. He spent the next 10 years teaching at Niles, offering courses like political theology and the priest and the modern novel. He was an inventive but demanding teacher. He was such a good teacher, along the way he was offered faculty positions at Notre Dame and at the University of California, Berkeley. But he turned them down to serve the church in Chicago and stay close to family. He served as pastor at St. Nicholas in Evanston, guiding the merger of the parish school with that of neighboring St. Mary's, and then Infant Jesus of Prague in Flossmoor, where he helped the church weather controversy over opening a homeless shelter. One of his former parishioners of St. Nicholas, present today, recently wrote that Father Bill was wise, loving, straight-shooting, courageous, progressive, and inspiring. He put a smile on the whole community and brought us together to do great things. And he was welcomed in retirement at Saints Faith, Hope, and Charity, where he lived and served for 25 years, the longest stay of his long and wonderful life. As you heard, Uncle Bill was a progressive advocate. He talked the talk and he walked the talk. He had tremendous respect for tradition, but was open to new ideas. He embraced the changes of the church that came after the Second Vatican Council. He marched for civil rights with Martin Luther King Jr., and later marched in opposition to the Vietnam War and against nuclear weapons, and even brought along some of his nieces and nephews to join him in the protests. He was a founding board member and first chairman of the Association of Chicago Priests, where he led them through some serious disagreements with John Cardinal Cody. Uncle Bill was an athlete. In recent years, he loved to talk about his days playing basketball, especially in the rim next to their house, on the house on South Constance. My father claimed Uncle Bill hit a softball one summer from one backstop to the other in Lakeshore Park after he'd spent the summer picking up slag at the steelworks. He was very proud of his strength. I remember moving the coffee table out of the way so he could arm wrestle on the living room floor with my father. And when I got big enough, me. No, I don't recall him ever losing. Sometimes we gave up. He was adventurous. He crashed in a hot air balloon with my sister Kathleen and brother Paul. He took up snow skiing in his 50s until he crashed into a tree and broke his leg at age 68. Went whitewater rafting with Bishop Gorman in his senior years. And he was an artist, a writer, a painter, a poet, and a potter. One hand clapping, his column in the parish bulletin every week was filled with witty, insightful reflections on parish life and other topics of interest. And it was must-reading in our home on Sunday evenings at dinner. He authored several manuscripts, including a series of interviews with key figures during the administration of John Cardinal Cody, which Robert McClory, a journalist and professor at Northwestern, hoped he would publish. But Uncle Bill elected not to, perhaps someday. He was a prolific potter. He won first place at the Sacred Art Competition at Northwestern University. Many of our homes are blessed with examples of his work. The proceeds of the annual sales of his pottery were donated to the Sisters of the Poor Clare Monastery. Uncle Bill was a lover of movies and plays. He founded the Movie Night Ministry here at Faith Hope, challenging participants to weigh in on the value systems implied in films. And he regularly attended Chicago area Shakespeare productions with his good friend Father Matty Hoffman, his niece Peggy, and my wife Patty, and then quizzed them on the drive home. Family was so important to Uncle Bill. In my visits to him recent years, he reliably said how blessed he was to have such a great family. His mother, our Grandma Ann, was a dominant presence in his life. He respected his father, but he revered his mother. She was a frequent subject of his homilies, and later in his life, when sharing memories, he spoke of her often. He liked to say Lucy Ann, his eldest sister, was the smartest. And his youngest sister, Jeannie, held a special place in his heart. As he said, when Jeannie was born, it was a gift to the family. Uncle Bill and his brother Michael were forbidden to beat up my father, their younger brother Paul. My father was smaller and apparently sickly as a child, or as my grandmother reportedly told the nuns when told my father was not performing up to the standards set by the Flaherty children, "We're just glad he's alive." But Uncle Bill and my father were dear friends. Uncle Bill attended Sunday dinner at my parents' home almost every week for close to 50 years. He was a constant presence in our lives. He encouraged discussion about world and social events with the Uncle Bill question. He was funny and witty and loved to laugh. I still remember Uncle Bill and my father laughing and laughing and laughing and unable to stop. As much as he loved ministry, I think it was an escape for him to be among family. As socially as he could be as a priest and a pastor, When strangers were present at Sunday dinner, he might be found hiding in the den reading the phone book. He sponsored an annual Christmas season dinner at Hackney's, reserving the basement room there and inviting all the cousins, and he called it Anne's Day Off. My mom was Anne. Uncle Bill would serve as the MC, introducing participants to a talent show for the grandnieces and nephews, and then distributing Beanie Babies to all the kids. Throughout his life, even at the very end, he always wanted regular updates about what all the nieces and nephews, grandnieces, grandnephews were up to. He cherished his friends, and those friendships were lifelong. Father Matty Hoffman, Bishop Ray Geddert, Father Bob Cross, Bill Hogan, Father Martin Red Winters, Father Bob Cash, Father John Barlow, Father Gene Tiger Lyons, Father John Kuzi Kachinkis, and joining us by video today, Bishop Jack Gorman, his dear friend. They shared many adventures together, fishing, skiing, golf, and they met for lunch, monthly for lunch and theological discussions with a pre-assigned topic for many years, until they couldn't travel anymore. Uncle Bill never stopped talking about how grateful he was for his family, his faith, his ministry, even his country, which he credited for giving our ancestors, peat farmers and laborers, the opportunity to flourish. In that spirit of gratitude and on behalf of the Flaherty family, I want to especially thank Father Marty and Sarah, his fellow priests here at Faith Hope, and the Faith Hope community. You embraced him and gave him a home for 25 years. He was so happy here. You supported him even as his mobility declined. I would also like to thank the staff at Ascension Living St. Benedict's over there on Toohey and Niles, who cared for Uncle Bill over the last 2 years. Life could be challenging for Uncle Bill over these recent years, and he so appreciated all the visitors to St. Ben's. My cousin Ann Megan Davis, or El Numero Uno, as Uncle Bill called her. She was the first among all the cousins. She regularly brought Uncle Bill chocolate milkshakes and then shared photos of Uncle Bill with the family all across the country. His niece Kathleen and daughter Anna were frequent, almost every Sunday visitors for dinner. His nephew Paul, and then most importantly, his niece Peggy. His right hand, advocate, his good buddy. Peggy was crucial to helping Uncle Bill navigate these later years in life. And Uncle Bill was so grateful to have Peggy, and we are all so grateful that he had Peggy. And we are all so grateful to have had Uncle Bill. So you know Uncle Bill was a poet, and there's a beautiful poem on the back of the Mass card. But I thought I'd share another poem that he gave to my wife Patty when our eldest son Michael went away to college. And it's called Letting Go. You could not hold on to this life forever, and although that is very hard to understand, there is no need to worry or be scared to let go. Just have faith in what God has planned.